Artist to Art with Betsy Enzensberger. Thank you. Betsy's going to come on, and this is Artist to Art. Thank you for joining. I'm Aaron Jack, and we're having Betsy on here, so welcome. Welcome to my 48th interview thing, Artist to Art. Hey, Betsy.
Hey,
How you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, why don't you tell us a little bit, like, where are you coming in from?
I'm in Los Angeles right now, in my bed, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I got up, showered, and went right back to bed.
Awesome. Wow. So a little bit of a change of pace since this whole COVID thing started, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So what were you doing before COVID hit? And then what have you been up to now?
Well, I mean, I've been nonstop busy both ways, just in a different way. So before the pandemic, I was working almost a full-time job managing a gallery and doing my own art and traveling around the world to international art fairs and stuff. And then when all of the art fairs and things stopped, also my day job stopped. So I just have been in my studio working, just making new things, experimenting more, and kind of learning more the marketing technological side of the art business, which is very new to me. So
Wow.
yeah, I
So,
mean, I'm busy nonstop, but just in a whole different way.
wow. So
Yeah.
what was this could you tell me a little bit about this gallery that you were managing and like how that balanced with your art
Yeah. Well,
beforehand? Yeah.
I have managed art galleries in Los Angeles since like 2008, maybe. So for a long time, different galleries, nonprofits, emerging galleries. This one was more emerging and mid-career artists, the one that I was just working at. And they actually were the first gallery that represented me as an artist. And I was so impressed with what they'd done with me, my career, getting me international exposure that when they, were looking for a new manager, I was like, you know what, let me jump on in. So I wasn't actually an artist with them at that time anymore. I was an artist before. So then it gave me an opportunity to work with some of the other artists that were, you know, working with the gallery, and I was able to share a lot of the knowledge that I gained over the time working with them.
Wow. So what's some of
It
that
was really a great
knowledge?
experience, like on both
Yeah.
ends, like learning it from an artist perspective, but also being able to like help other artists. I mean, it's my passion. So
Wow. So
yeah.
what's some of this knowledge that you learned that you were excited to share that maybe you'd like to share with some of the people here?
Um, I think okay, I guess it depends on your goals, right? So let's say an artist comes in and they're like, I just want to sell art, you know? Okay, so there's different paths you go if you just want to sell art. But if your goal is to get international exposure, there's a whole different path you need to take. Um, and then there's artists that, want to be in a museum, and then that's a different path. So, I mean, you really need to know where you're going in order to know what path to take. So, I just learned these little things along the way, and a lot of it was watching artists achieve their goals and kind of looking at what they did to get where they wanted to go. And I'm always happy to share that knowledge with other people. So,
Wow.
like,
So you'd
I
say that
also
those are kind
don't
of
feel like
Mhm.
I'm an expert at anything or know really what I'm doing, but I mean, I'm always happy to share what I know, you know, and
Yeah,
help
I think
if I
that's kind
can.
of all we can do is share where we're at as we're
Yeah,
going along this journey of life.
yeah, yeah.
So, what have you seen? So you've seen these like three different paths, right? Kind
Hmm.
of to go. What path have you decided, or have you like, or what mix? Like, have you
It's
decided or
actually a
have you
mix of
gone?
everything. um, I lived in Europe for a couple of years, so and I love traveling. I've traveled all over the world just for fun. So my initial goal was to get international exposure, really just for selfish reasons, so I could travel with my art, and I did that, and I love it. And right now, it's kind of on hold, which is killing me because I just love traveling. Um, but that has been part of my goal, but my ultimate goal is to get into a museum of some sort. So I'd love to be in a contemporary museum that, you know, highlights pop art in a fine art way. So you know, that's my ultimate goal, but that takes years and years and years of building up your reputation, your skill level, you know, really solidifying your name. So I don't know, just going with it right now.
Hmm. So you're kind of like moving from one direction to another right now.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, of course, I still want to show internationally, and I do. I mean, I have galleries all over the world that carry my art, and I just ship it to them now. It's just the whole being able to go there to shows the you know, craziness, the excitement, the stress level. I love all of that. I love packing a suitcase full of like 50 popsicles and going through customs, and they're just like, I know they think that I'm totally crazy, but you know, I don't know. It's all really exciting for me.
So you're packing them all in a suitcase, or some of them are quite
Sometimes.
big though, right?
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
we'll
For the
look at them
large
in a
ones, I
second.
have to crate and ship them, but generally, I'll ship as much as I can, and then last minute, I'll have some brand new pieces, and I will just pack them really well into like one of those hard case suitcases and just bring them with me, as many as I
Wow.
can. So yeah, I've done that so many times in so many countries. It's really fun.
Do you have like a favorite place that you've gotten to do that to, or like a story that happened?
um, Favorite place.
Or
I
just
get
like an
well.
interesting story that happened along the way?
Well, I don't know. My most exciting, my favorite show, I guess, would be the one I had almost a year ago in Hamburg, and it was a solo show at a gallery. And I never really agree to work with a gallery unless I meet them in person. I wouldn't consign work to somebody without meeting them in person. Uh, to be correct. So the gallerist actually came out to my studio in Los Angeles twice, and she first, you know, met me and saw my work in person, and then she came back a second time after I'd been working for a few months and picked what she wanted. So she, of course, picked all these huge pieces, the 4 foot tall lollipops and stuff like that. So we created and shipped everything, and then last minute she goes, you know what? I don't think we have enough. And I was like, oh my God. So I just really, really like quickly packed up everything I had in my studio. And I was going with somebody else. So we each had 2 large check suitcases full of popsicles and 2 carry-ons full of popsicles. And it was like, you know, just so much stuff. And then as it always is, I don't know why I plan things this way. I get off the plane and then I go right to the gallery and have to set up and drop things off. So I'm like literally falling asleep as I'm doing this. um, and that was probably one of the most exciting experiences, mainly because the curator was so wonderful. She knows her clientele. She picked a really unique assortment of things that I had never shown before. And at the opening, like writers came from different magazines, some very, very important German newspapers and German magazines. And I was written up in all of these things. I had a lot of press for that show. And then we sold the whole show in the opening night. And that was very unexpected and very exciting, obviously.
Wow.
And I would
Wow.
never expect anything like that to happen, but when it does, you're just like, oh, what? Yeah, it was so exciting. I mean, It's like, it was every dream I could have ever imagined. I didn't even know I could imagine something like that. It was wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible to sell out the whole show in one night and be written up in
Yeah.
all the papers and all the things happening.
Yeah.
And
And it's a
that,
fairly small city. It's a big international city, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the collectors. I didn't, you know, you always go in blind. You don't really know if you're not from there. Um, a very opposite experience happened when I went to Hong Kong. I did the same thing, shipped everything. It was my first international art fair. And I got there and like almost nothing sold. It was just not, it wasn't my market. And I know that now, and I won't, probably show my work there again, although I love the city. I've been there a couple of times just for fun. But yeah, I mean, of course that was the opposite feeling where, I cried and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get over this. It's not my market. It was a learning experience. So
wow.
you win some, you lose some.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And so things have been a little bit different in COVID times.
Very different. Very different. I mean, first of all, like being live on video is so out of my comfort zone. I've done podcasts, I've done, these video chats and interviews and all, like, it just seems so permanent to put your face on a video online. Like, what if I say something wrong? Oh my God.
No, I know what you mean.
But it's even
before.
Learning the technology of it is pretty funny, And then I redid my whole website from scratch, which I had to learn how to do. And then I built a shop, which I had to learn how to do. And, it's like all this stuff. I'm like, wow. I actually just worked on my website last night and I took a screenshot of it. And I was like, I just realized that if I try hard enough, I can do anything, because I stepped back and looked at it and I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty. I love it. I know how to manage it. Yeah. I feel like a rock star all of a sudden, like being able to work technology like this.
What's the next thing that you think like you want to master on this technology front?
Ooh.
Or the next few things?
That's a great question. I don't know. I started messing around with like editing videos. I would film a poor day and then put it all together. And I was like, wow, that was so much work. So much respect for people who edit videos. But I mean, I guess I might be into trying that a little bit more, maybe taking more time to set up the camera and things like that. And, maybe perfect that. But I don't know. What else is out there? What else can I do?
I think that's always the question, right? Well, what does so you've been for these different galleries. What kinds of things do they do? Like, what are the things like that are more in person versus online? Are they trying to do things for the artists? And are there things that like you could do yourself? Because I know that there's other artists out here who are watching who would like to know, like, what can they do? Like, what can they learn from the galleries?
It depends on the gallery, really. Certain galleries work mostly with interior designers. And I work with one here in Los Angeles that works very closely with various interior designers, and they're always kind of working on different projects, and once in a while we'll incorporate a piece of mine or not. And then there are other galleries that really are connected with their community. I have one in Des Moines that is open now, and they have such a strong community support system that they're always like, everyone wants to support them and their small business. And And then the gallery that I manage and worked with, they are all about giving the artists exposure in the way that they want. So international exposure. I helped some artists, you know, apply to museums. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different things you can do. You just have to, if you want to do it with a gallery, you have to pick the right gallery. Which gallery is, you know, I have one gallery that works a lot in Europe. So they're based out of Spain and Australia. So most of their clientele is in Europe. And so I love them because I get all that, like, you know, different exposure in different countries. So I don't know, you just got to pick the gallery that suits your needs, really. If you want a little bit of everything, you work with a bunch of different galleries.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking because there's a lot of people on here that watch and ask these kinds of questions that are very just curious how to, some of them are in the earlier stages of their career and some are a little bit later. So it's I find it good to help share that knowledge.
Yeah. I think in the beginning, it's really just exposure, really just getting your work as far as you can to as many people as you can. And galleries are great for that because they have their whole separate audience usually.
Cool. Let's check out some of your work here.
Okay. Oh, there they are. My babies.
Yeah.
My kids. That's my chevron design. That is, in the beginning I called it woven because the stripes really just wove together. But it's chevron for the most part, and they're all a little different. But I think my favorite thing is to mix like the opaque with the transparent, with the glitter, with the pearl, like a little bit of everything, and things you don't really expect would go together end up going together really nicely. And sometimes they don't, and those you don't see.
Do you make, like, you're making a lot of these, right? In your home studio?
I can usually, I mean, so each one of these takes two-ish weeks, maybe longer, just depending on the amount of stripes or the amount of times that I feel like I need to refinish it. So I finished two today. Like I photographed two and they're going to go up on my website pretty soon. But I mean, I don't finish like 20 at a time or anything like that. My studio is just not big enough. Plus, I don't know, the time I spend on each one, it's really like an intimate thing. I spend time sanding them. So maybe like every couple of days or maybe once a week, you'll see a few new ones, but they don't come out that frequently. I mean, I'm always working on multiple things at once, of course, but you know, with these little intricate pieces, I can't create that fast. That's a big one. It's a little cut off, but yeah, you get the idea. That one is 6 feet, so with the stick and everything. And that I had been working on since maybe March. I built the body of it first, and then I sat down and I was working with a designer on the actual painting part of it, and I sat back for a long time with these color samples, and just because it's so hard to go in and like put that first brush stroke down. And then I just went for it. I was bored. It was, the middle of the pandemic, and I'm like, I need to switch gears. I need to do something big. So I just went for it and I painted it, and it took maybe 3 weeks to paint that one. And the whole idea was the dripping rainbow, the drizzle, and at the very bottom, which you can't see in this picture, it's all just like thin lines of all of those colors mixed together in like a really kind of crazy swirl. Then they all like get marbleized towards the bottom. It's really pretty.
So everybody who's watching should go check out your Instagram so they can actually see the
Oh
full
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Or on your
You see the
website,
whole
right?
thing, lots of different things, different angles, different people. I had a friend model with it, doing a yoga pose, so makes makes it look really glamorous. That's another one of those really detailed woven pieces. You can see how many stripes there are. Each stripe is a day because I use a slow curing resin so that I can get the least bubbles, the best. I particularly like this one because it's a nice thick resin and it holds the color and the glitter really well. So, it's worth it to wait 24 hours in between pours. So, yeah,
We
it's
have
one
a
of my favorites
question.
actually.
We have a question here.
Oh,
Have you seen the children's
rainbow
book?
goblins. No, but I'm gonna Google it now.
Write it down.
Sounds
There we
great.
go.
Sounds great. I'm gonna check it
Yeah,
out. Rainbow goblins.
right. There you go. DM each other. If you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen each other's work, you definitely need to.
Okay.
Um, there we go. Send a DM up there. There we go.
So I'm sure you've seen my rainbow pops. With the nice distinct stripes. This one's more of a swirl. So I do these sprinkled swirls for art sugar. I did a series of tie-dye. I called it tie-dye. It was more of a white base, like a white t-shirt, and then swirls of color into the piece. And then I moved on to adding sprinkles to them because it's cute and adds an extra element of color and texture. But this one is the rainbow swirl. And I love this one. I think it's still available too. I think it's still up on their site. Yeah. Art Sugar. Love that one.
So we have a question from
Okay.
Catalina. Great. I don't know if you've already asked this, but this is a model, the same one that was poured with just resin.
The one we're looking at? The one we're looking at is
Yeah, I
just
guess
resin.
so. Okay.
Yes. The large 6-foot ones are they're resin. They can also be made in bronze or aluminum for outdoors, but they're resin and they're painted. These little ones are just resin. So I don't use any paint in these. I just use I use inks and glitters and pearls and things like that.
How did you get into making this whole series?
It started with, well, I was making melting paintings for a little while. So things were always kind of melting. And I was doing smaller castings, little candies, little, they remind me of Jolly Ranchers. And then everything always just seemed like it was melting because of the runoff from the resin. And before I did ice pops like this, I did ice cream. That was my first adventure. It was always it was very sculpted, scooped ice cream. I still have a few of my soft serve ice cream pieces. That's not my focus. My focus is the ice pop, the popsicle. I don't know. I just like the shape better. I don't know. I guess people relate to this more. I'm not sure. It also gives me a chance to add more of a fine art element with the really detailed striped pieces. I feel like I go a lot deeper into the art of it, the design of it, whereas ice cream is just pure playful,
So that gets into one of our questions here from Catalina. So why ice creams? Because you were talking about like lollipops, you were
Uh-huh.
talking about some other things. you talked about the melting aspect, but like,
Yep.
what got you into like the food and the ice cream, like, so, and then like narrow, like, what were you trying? You tried like the little things, the big, like,
Yep.
how did it
It
come
was
to
the
ice cream?
material itself. If you've worked with resin, you know there's a lot of like drips and things that fall off onto your work table or your floor. And I would pick them off, and I'm like, just like, looks like you want to bite it. Like, it just looks so yummy. It looks like a little piece of candy. And so the food really, the idea of food came from the resin itself, and it needed to be like a sweet treat because of the pigment that I was putting into it. And I don't know, I particularly like art that looks like you want to eat it. Like when I connect, like everyone connects with art differently. It's an emotional connection, but most of the art that I connect with is something that I like want to eat. And I know it sounds really strange, but and it's not always just food items. It can be just something like delicious, like the painting behind me is just like, it's like yummy pink, and and then looking around, I have just a whole bunch of different art in my room that is like just, I don't know, I just want to eat it. But yeah, that's kind of that's what I connect with emotionally, which is why I make food. But yeah, it all began with the material itself, the resin itself, the shiny, the highly pigmented resin.
Wow. And so how did you get into the resin? Like the process, like what exposed you to that process, and then you were like, wow, I should explore this.
I remember the exact moment, actually. So I had been painting. I actually studied abstract painting in college. And I was painting on wood panel at this time, kind of large abstracts. And one day I went to a gallery show and I saw a photograph, and it was mounted behind maybe like 1.5 inches of acrylic. And I was like, wow, that is so pretty and yummy. Like I wanted to bite it because it was like this thick piece of acrylic. And it really accentuated the color of the photograph too. And you can look at it from the side and see the depth. I mean, all of that was just so interesting to me. So I was like, I ran to the art store and I was like, what can I do to put on top of my paintings to make them this thick? Okay, so I've used varnish before, obviously, but that was the day that I discovered resin. And this was, 15 years ago. And so ever since that day, I have been working to challenge my resin more and more. Basically, I see how far I can push it. I actually work directly with, I communicate directly with a lot of the companies that I get my resin from, and they're always like, don't do that. This is only supposed to be poured, 1/4 inch thick. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Like, it'll just start on fire. Don't worry about it. They're like, no, we don't want to be responsible for that. But I push it as far as I can to see what I can do with it. And a good portion of the time I mess up and have to throw it away. But yeah, it's such a mystery material, depending on what type of resin you use and the environment you're using it in. It's really fun for me to see what I can do. What can I do next? Like, how big can I make this before it cracks? Like, I don't know. It's really fun. That's my whole passion. It's like trial and error, figuring things out.
Wow. So you're really like trying to push this material as far as you can go.
Yeah. These little things are not a good example of that. Those are small. Those are safe.
Right.
I'm talking about the larger stuff that I do. Like the bomb pop that I just made. It's 28 inches tall. It's 18 pounds of resin. And I
Do we
had
have
to
a
go.
picture of that? Like, it's in front of.
I do. Do you have it?
Is it in front of a store, or is it?
There's a picture of me next to it.
Is this it?
No, not. But
No.
that's actually another good example.
Okay.
So that's a resin that is a laminating resin. So it really shouldn't be cast at all. But I cast it in very thin layers and sanded in between each layer to make sure that they were secure. That's 15 pounds of resin there. So the bomb pop I'm talking about is even larger than that. But yeah, that was one of those things. Like I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna see if this works out. And you know, a lot of the times that I do things like this, it doesn't work out. You know, if you were to make something like this and, you know, make it a wall hanging piece to be much lighter.
Did we lose
I don't
internet?
know. It's just it's so fun. It's so fun, like figuring all this out.
So what about the wall hanging piece? Because you mentioned like that's another factor, like versus like the
Mm-hmm.
freestanding
Yeah.
aspects.
So
How do you manage to like find that balance? Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I experimented with making wall hanging sculptures. Um, and with when you do something like that, you need to make it light enough to hang, obviously. And when you solid cast like the picture you're showing right there, that there's no way. Like it would be way too heavy for a wall. So there's a couple of different ways you can make it lighter. One of them would be to rotocast, which means you rotate the mold with the resin in it, and the resin cures on the outside of the mold, forming a hard shell. If you were to do something like that, there's no way you'd be able to get those pretty stripes in that solid cast piece. So, I mean, it just looks totally different. I rotocast most of my larger sculptures, my 2.5 foot popsicles, and it's a really unique look that it gets because I do it all by hand. So I'm holding my mold with two handles and I'm like rotating it like this by hand. Of course, there's machines that make this a lot easier, but I love to torture myself and I love to have control over the resin as much as I can. So I spend 8 hours with this mold, rotating it in order to get the little drips and layers and things that I'm looking for. And, you know, I don't know.
Wow.
That's one way to make something lighter for wall hanging. There's a lot of other ways too.
Wow, that's pretty intense to use roto molding techniques in
Oh
order
yeah.
to do giant
Oh yeah.
pieces.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like the big one. Well, actually it wasn't. That's a whole nother process. Each size is a different process. Let's just say that.
Let's see. Let's go back here and check out some more of these.
Oh yeah. Kind of in love with my towers these days. It's a new thing for me to make these kind of whimsical, like almost tipping over towers, you know? Like you almost want to save it. You just want, you're like, no, because it is really some of them are really bendy. Um, and then with this, I love to play with the real transparent aqua, and the red is transparent as well. You can't see it as much. And then the solid colors mixed together. And of course that rainbow puddle is really fun. When we're done with this call, I'll be posting a brand new one, new design. I know. See, this is what happens when I'm in my studio all day. I just dream up new things every single day, and I'm like, must finish, must do it. It is similar to this. It's a tower, but it's different. I don't know. I love it. They're all my babies. I
So
love them
cool.
all. There we go. That's a splat. That's called a double rainbow. I recently started doing what I call, quote, double rainbows, which is the rainbow colors, but then I did all the colors mixed in between. So red, red, orange, 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 yellow, yellow, you know. So there's double the amount of stripes, but it's also a play on that amazing double rainbow video from what, 10 years ago? Can't forget that.
No.
Nope.
No. No. No.
I just want to be that happy.
Right? I love being that happy. That's a beautiful feeling.
Ah, there's the clear one. It's funny, actually, when I look at it like this, it looks very thin, but that is probably 3 inches thick, and the whole sculpture is 26 inches tall, which means the pop is about 15 inches. So that is 13 pounds of solid, clear cast resin. Remember how I said every piece is a different process? This one is the most labor-intensive process, the most unique process to get that crystal clear. And I'm not even going to go into it. It's too much. It's a lot of work. So
because you have to get out all the bubbles.
The result is incredible. So there's no bubbles.
Right.
That's the reason why it's so difficult is, yeah, and that's why I limited the addition of those to 10, because I can't handle anymore. It's too much. I mean, I have so much respect for Chris Bakay and Deborah Francis, who do crystal clear exclusively. Huge respect. It's a very difficult process. So, yeah, shout out to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any other inspirations that you'd like to talk about?
Any other artists, you mean?
Yeah, artists or other, whoever is inspirational to you. I'm always kind of curious.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm constantly inspired by art in the way that, like, I want to surround myself with it. I want to collect it, and I don't necessarily base my work off of it. Mine just comes from, I don't know. I don't even know. It's more the materials that I work with. I play with them long enough, and then I dream up something new. I'll order like a huge load of different glitters, and I'm like, oh, yep, got it. That's going to be a new design. I don't, because I guess my designs are so unique that it's like, it's difficult to gain inspiration from other artists in that way. I think fashion has a good influence on me, like the colors of the season. And I mean, I don't even know what's happening in fashion right now. I imagine like people are going to wear pajamas on the runway, because isn't that what we're all wearing? I mean, like, I'm wearing pajama pants right now. Wearing a real top, but pajama pants. So just so you know. You are too. I know you are.
I could be. be.
It's 12:45.
It's a thing. I know. A lot of people are on these Instagram lives and not even wearing pants.
I know. I thought about that too, and I'm just like, no, that's not right. PJs is okay, but like no pants, I don't know.
I find that every once in a while something strange happens because it's on live, that it's just like whatever's there might just be shown.
Yep.
Maybe
I know.
wear
I could
pants,
drop the phone and like you'll see everything. You'll see my dog right next to me. Have you noticed the camera shaking? It's because the dog's like moving around on the bed.
You should show us your dog. What's your dog's name?
Schnitzel.
Schnitzel. Do you want to show us? Can we see Schnitzel?
Yeah, let me see if I can get her. Hang on.
Yeah.
She's asleep. As she should be. Right, Munchkin? Come here, baby. Oh, this is one of 2 dogs.
Oh, yeah?
This is Schnitzel.
Aww.
Schnitzel's 16. She is an old lady, right?
Aww.
And I love her so much. Yeah, she's an old lady. And so we got a pandemic dog a few months ago. And the pandemic dog is the only dog that was available. And I couldn't have picked a better dog. She's amazing.
Wow.
I mean,
what's her name?
I just love both my babies. She's Rainy. She had a name when we got her, so, but I love it. It's like a perfectly hippie name. But she's a sweetheart. I don't know, she's not here in the bedroom right now, but
It's
yeah.
okay. Another time you'll show her.
Yeah.
Tune
Next
in.
time.
Tune into more lives.
Mm-hmm.
Henrietta, who's in England,
Uh-huh.
says near London, are you into pop art?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Definitely.
Are there any pop artists that come to mind that you're like, you know, might be like on newer to the scene or older on the scene that you're just like, oh, they're kind of like an inspiration, or I'm looking out for them or something like that?
Well, I just two of them. I just purchased two paintings from Gina Julian, who does these really pretty op art, kind of rainbow pieces. I mean, it's more op art than it is pop art, I guess. But I forget her name. This is terrible. There's this Spanish artist that I just ordered a piece from, and she does these highly real. I'll send them to you so you can post them on your Instagram.
Yeah, just like comment below.
She does these amazing, highly realistic Mylar balloons, or like the ribbons that you put on packages. And I just was like drooling over them. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. And I ordered one, so very excited about that. But yeah, I mean, I love pop art and minimalist, and I love a little bit of everything, to be honest. Looking around, yeah, I don't know. I have photography, I've got sculpture, I've got drawings, yeah, a little bit of everything.
I'm looking through some of the questions. So we have another question.
Yes.
That was down here. How are you making your website? Is it WordPress, Wix?
I used GoDaddy.
From Vivian.
Started from scratch, GoDaddy. It was a very easy program to learn, and it connects with everything. Connects with you know, all of your other like MailChimp, and it connects with my shop. Yeah, I don't know. It's easy to update, and GoDaddy's one of those like trustworthy, you know, sites. But yeah, I mean, but before that, I think I used Rapid Weaver. That was just kind of old school. I like the internet-based website better because you can edit it anywhere. The other one was a program that I had on my computer, and I could only ever edit it on my computer. So,
what are some elements for other artists? Because I know that there are a couple of artists watching that they should include on their website when they're redoing them.
Oh, you mean like going in as a gallery, looking at an artist's website?
Yeah, like if they want to show to galleries, or whether they're showing to individual people, are there some things that they should have on their website in particular?
Well, a cohesive body of work, not stuff all over the place. Needs to be like one or two series and separated into like those one or two series, and they all need to go together. Basically, the only reason you do that is because you want to pull up somebody's website or pull up their Instagram and be like, okay, what does this person do? And if you're scrolling through like 10 pictures of their dogs or their breakfast, you know, I'm like, I don't know what they do. So just, I mean, the art itself needs to be really clear and obvious. And then just, I don't know. I mean, some people don't have any. Oh, yeah. Monica Enyo is the artist you mentioned. Yes, that's her. That's her. Did you see that? You can look her up, Monica Enyo. Yeah, I don't know. The other thing I guess would be just like, yeah, if you have any shows that you want to, you know, that you've been in, you can mention the curators or the titles or the locations. I edit my shows down to be like just the biggest shows on my site because I have so many years of shows. but and if you don't have any, you don't have any. It's fine. I worked at an emerging gallery for a while, and it was everyone's first show. So yeah, that's fine too. But yeah, I guess those are the main things for the website, really. Way to contact the artist. Because I'm always going on people's websites to contact them to, buy work, or like, I love your work, I want to introduce you to my gallery, that sort of thing. So contact is important.
So contact information, like 2 series of work,
Mm-hmm.
and then what was the other one? Sorry, I just
List of show, like exhibitions.
And then list of shows.
Yeah.
And then list of shows.
Yeah.
Cool.
And everyone likes to learn a little bit about the artist. I think after years of reading other people's artist statements, I refined mine to be a little bit more interesting. But almost like in the beginning, almost everyone's like, oh, I'm inspired by travel and my family, like there's always like that, like, try and make it more interesting. Don't do what everyone else does. And don't mention travel. Everyone's inspired by travel. Everyone.
What would you say would make it interesting? Like, what are things that you've seen that kind of make it interesting for people?
Like when somebody submits to the gallery?
Yeah.
Me personally, I usually look at the work first. And then just to get a frame of reference, I look at the medium size and retail price. And oftentimes that's not even included. So the work really needs to grab me right off the bat. And even now I'm referring artists to galleries. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's all really important information when submitting. A couple of the galleries that I worked for, like that was part of the submission process. You had to include all that. And if you didn't, it's like, I can't even consider you because I just don't have all the information.
Right. So you need so what are the things that you need right away when someone's submitting to a gallery for like an emerging artist type?
Image of the work, medium, size, retail price, just to get a frame of reference.
Right. Like what is their work currently selling for, kind of thing?
Yeah. And and if you've never sold anything and you have no clue, then you can write that too. That's fine. Everyone starts somewhere.
Cool. I just think that's good information for some of the people out who are watching this.
Yeah.
And if anybody
you're
else
regularly selling your work, you put that down, because I mean, it's no secret. Ideally your work is the same price everywhere. So it shouldn't be, a secret.
A secret.
Yeah. I think that was 2 years ago. I don't make those big lollipops anymore. Just because, again, I'm refining my series down to one shape, the popsicle, the ice pop shape. But they were beautiful. I mean, really, the art was the sphere itself. That's rotocast. That's rotocast by hand. You see all the layers of color. That was all intentional. And I remember that day. It was humid and warm, and I think it drizzled a little, which is very rare down here. And it created that beautiful rainbow of color. And when I tried to do it again, I've tried it maybe 5 or 6 times, and I just can't do it. It's not possible. So the collector who purchased that is very lucky. One of a kind. They all are, but truly. That's another clear one. I love them. It's like that stick is just floating in I don't know, ice. This one I added a very faint kind of greenish glitter, greenish bluish glitter, which you can't even really see, and then the drips of glitter to kind of, what I like about that is that because it's a clear sculpture, you can see it through the other side. So that was just something I was messing around with. And that one I believe is it's in Amsterdam right now. That's all. I just sent it like a month or two ago. So that was that was my last year around March. I had a show in New York, and that was going to be the next show that I had before everything got canceled because of the pandemic. I was ready to fly to New York for this. But that's another one of those 2.5 foot rotocast sculptures. This one's rotocast with red glitter. So it's like a nice thick red glitter surface. Yeah.
Cool. We have about 5 minutes left. So just so we know.
Okay.
So maybe we've got a couple more images, so we'll just kind of speed through this. This is the speed round.
Yeah. And keep asking questions.
So we talked about, yeah.
Always happy to answer questions.
Excellent.
Those are my hearts. I showed them in January of last year, and then they went to Hamburg. That picture you showed earlier of me standing next to one, that was that show in Hamburg. Yep, that one. So, and then they said goodbye. They're all living somewhere in Hamburg at this point. But yeah, that's that show in Hamburg. So nice to have that big heart lollipop there in the window. And it was fun because they hadn't seen anything like that before. So everyone was like, what is this? Who is this person? She's got a German last name, and there was a little note that said like from Los Angeles. Or like everyone was really confused. Plus I speak German, so I was speaking German at the reception and doing interviews in German. So that was pretty fun.
Wow. When or how did you learn German?
I lived in Germany for 2 years. Remember when I said I lived in Europe? Germany was my base. So I lived in Munich, and I worked only enough to like travel. I would be like, okay, I have enough money to go to South France, go spend it all, come back, work. That was my life post-college, and I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
I think everyone has to do that. Just live.
Mm-hmm. Just live.
Just live. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Do you have any advice like that you'd like to share? We have another 3 minutes left, so now's a good time if you have
advice like living,
inspiration, advice, ideas, anything that you haven't said. Now's a good time to share that.
I don't know. Was that your timer that just went off?
Well, we started a couple minutes
goodbye.
Late, so
cut off.
We've got we've got probably about 3-4 minutes left, something like that. So if you want to share anything, inspirations or thoughts, ideas that you'd like to put out into the world.
I don't know. I mean, just enjoy what you do and be kind to people, and I don't know, try to spread joy. That's what I do, is, little bits of joy everywhere as much as I can. And throughout this really difficult time, I was just kind of secretly sending people free gifts. I made a whole bunch of gummy bear earrings, and I'm like, I'm just going to send them to everyone that buys a pop. Just things like that. Or a couple of sculptures I actually broke, those really detailed ones. Broke them in half, and I tried to get them back together, and then I was like, no, can't sell it. And I'm like, I'm just going to give it to somebody. They're going to love it, and somebody I didn't know. So, I mean, I don't know. It's nice to do stuff like that, make people happy, and just do what makes you happy, really. Try to be unique.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all of your ideas and what you've been working through this time, and the new work, the old work, the here and there.
Yeah. Thank you for
I really
having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah. So I want to say thank you to everyone watching for carrying on with, for watching so many of these. This is, I'll have 40, this is number 48.
All right.
So thank you for being number 48 of the interview series with
Yay.
me. I'm going to be doing another one in not at 1 o'clock or 1 p.m. Eastern, but at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we have people on from all over the world. So skip an hour and I'll be back on. And then on Thursday, I'll be back on Freedom Tapestry Project with Kat from Create Magazine. So she'll be back on with me, sharing her new book and different ideas, business and art.
I love listening to her. I can't wait for that.
I had her on a couple months ago on this series, and it was just amazing. So I'm like, so I have like different series. So I have like, this one's more like art business, and just like people who are curious to me, you know, of like interesting things that they're doing. Just like follow my curiosity. And then with the Freedom Tapestry Project, there's some co-curators. So we have a lot of artists on from Syria. We just had an artist on from Japan and Egypt, and the head of layout from Disney, and tech people, AR, VR. So it's like tech and international artists a lot, and Kat. And
that's awesome. So, good for you.
So that's that series. And then I have my photography series. So we'll see where that goes. So thank you so much.
You rock. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any last words? Any last words before we sign off for the day?
Not really. I can't wait to get into the studio right now. That's where I'm headed next. So respirator on.
Oh, perfect.
Back to work. I can't wait.
That's good inspiration for us all. Get back into the studio and do some work. Spread some joy.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if anybody out there isn't following either of us, just go at us up here in this corner, or afterwards we'll post links to both of our pages. So we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.